Welcome everybody to the 68th day of Global Communication Education Conclave GSEC. This conclave has been initiated by Global Media Education Council GMEC, the first homegrown global council of media educators, researchers, professionals, and policymakers. The idea of setting up GMEC was mooted by Professor Ujjwal Chaudhary in 2021. Then like-minded people joined hands with Professor K.G. Suresh as president and Dr. U.S. Pandey as vice president. Today, GMEC family has grown to more than 60 members. As vice president of GMEC, I have been part of this academic endeavor since the time this idea was mooted. I find myself lucky to be part of this galaxy of media educators in this forum. Global Communication Education Conclave is the first step of GMEC. Many more academic and professional endeavors will follow. In GSEC, we have reserved evenings for academic deliberations and enriching discourse with a global perspective. And all our sessions till date have been trendsetters. We have planned 75 sessions of GSEC and we have already achieved 90% of our target. In today's session, many distinguished scholars and professionals are with us. I welcome them all in this session. I feel happy to share the company of my dear friend, Dr. Aditya Kumar Shukla, Associate Professor, Mass Communication and Journalism, Manipal University, Jaipur, and the chair of this session. Mr. Amit Sen Gupta, Head of Press and Communications, British Deputy High Commissioner in Kolkata, is also with us as chief guest of this session. This session is also being graced by Dr. Padma Ramesh, who is Dean Academics in Annapurna College of Film and Media. She is an eminent media educator, and we feel proud to acknowledge her contribution by conferring on her the Stellar Media Educator Award. The keynote address will be delivered by Dr. Abbas Ganbari, Pakistan, who is Assistant Professor, Department of Communication, Faculty of Social Sciences, University of Tehran in Iran. I welcome all my distinguished colleagues, and my special assignment in this session is to introduce the moderator of the day, Momita De Das. Momita is Assistant Professor in the Department of Journalism, School of Media and Communication at Kolkata-based University, Adamas University. She is the former editorial consultant for International Justice Mission, Kolkata. She is also associated with Macaut, West Bengal University of Technology as an examiner and scrutinizer of media science since 2012. Recently, Momita has received the Teaching Excellence Award by Adamas University. She has BA, MA, MPhil from Department of International Relations, Jadavpur University. She also has MA in Journalism and Mass Communication and PGD in Journalism. She completed a year in the pilot project of BBC iLearn system in South Asia. She has 16 years of experience in teaching, reporting, and copy editing. She has taught media science in Kolkata's reputed colleges like Techno India Group, iLead, and NSHM. She has worked in Hindustan Times, the Times of India, the Exhibit, Electronics for U Group. She has participated in various national and international conferences. She has a personal blog where she loves to pen down on contemporary issues. So hereby I hand over the rein to Momita with a request to take the session forward.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for such heartfelt introduction. Good evening to all the dignitaries, my dear colleagues, friends, and students present here. I, Momita De Das, welcome you all to this 68th day of the Global Communication Education Conclave organized by the Global Media Education Council. I render my earnest gratitude to the Council to provide me this opportunity in this prestigious platform for the second time. The theme of this evening is Media Studies and Interdisciplinary Approach. I'll start with a quote by Arthur Ashe. Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. So, researchers might argue that colleges are already accomplishing what is necessary to train its students for the new century. Indeed, colleges and universities have made strides in this regard and improved their core curriculum. Nevertheless, the essential questions that fill the work of educators and researchers include: are students being adequately prepared for their first job or for life? Can they grapple with world issues and concerns that impact the future of democracy and freedom by merely taking one or two courses in history or political science? That's the question. That's the question. Those are important. Are students evolving into competent problem solvers, critical thinkers, and creative individuals, or just adding courses to their transcripts that seem to fill these roles? Faculty members need to prepare students not only to compete for jobs in a new global economy, but also to have the intellectual breadth of knowledge to understand complex issues, become creative knowledge seekers, and behave ethically. Students require preparation to become world citizens who will positively contribute to the organizations they join and in turn benefit society. There are 5 imperatives that are necessary to address. 1, embracing an interdisciplinary approach to the study and research of mass communication, media studies, by forging an alliance with the fields of anthropology, sociology, political science, IT, information technology, and education. Number 2, providing internships in more than one field of study. Number 3, improving ways of knowing and learning in the classroom. And number 4, stressing global literacy as an essential part of college experience. 5th, and not the last but not the least, addressing issues of discipline and assessment in the curriculum and asserting its ultimate achievement. Today, we have illustrious panelists who would discuss on this theme. Without further ado, I call upon our session chair, Dr. Aditya Kumar Shukla, who is a media education professional with 12 years of experience in teaching, research, administration, and writing and editing. With an educational background of a PhD in yoga, philosophy, and communication, he had the opportunity to work in 5 different universities in Rajasthan, Uttarakhand, Madhya Pradesh, and Himachal Pradesh. As a writer, he has published 19 research papers, 1 book, and almost 40 editorial articles. He also got the opportunity to work with Dainik Jagran for almost a year. He has attended almost 40 conferences, FDPs, and workshops as chairperson, paper presenter, and resource person. He is also a certified fact and fit health fact checking India network trainer. I welcome to Sir to start the session and say a few words on this theme. Over to you, Aditya.
Thank you so much, Momita ma'am, for this wonderful introduction. And I'm feeling very glad that I'm speaking in front of my mentor and who has approved my PhD synopsis I have discussed with you. At the outset, I would like to extend my heartfelt thank to the Global Media Education Council for allowing me to chair this wonderful session on interdisciplinary approach in media studies. This topic is very dear to my heart because I have also explored the communication from yoga philosophical perspective. So I would love to speak on this topic after some time. This initiative of GMAC is very wonderful, and we just think that for organizing only one single session, it needs a lot of efforts. And we are at the 68th day of this event, and it is going flawlessly. I have watched a lot of videos, lot of already speakers have spoken on a lot of issues, and I think this conclave has covered all the aspects of media studies till now. So this is a big task, and GMAC certainly must be having a round of applause for that. And a lot of researchers like me, because who are not very fortunate to come in a lot of conferences and other things. They have inviting me to speak in this session. I would like to thank my mentors, Professor Amrish Saxena sir, Professor Ujjo sir. Ujjo sir has also taught me that would you like to chair this session? I said yes. Professor Keji Suresh sir and Uma Shankar Pandey sir. Everyone is a mentor to me, and sir has spoken me as a friend, but I have always regard for the sir, because I have learned a lot of things from the sir, Amrish Saxena sir. So if we talk about this topic, particularly this topic, I would like to start that media is a necessity of today's era. And in a nutshell, we can't live without media. So, when we discuss this topic, and the field of media studies, indeed, it has from its beginning it have an interdisciplinary nature. It is interdisciplinary field. If we consider media studies as a distinct discipline, it will lead to the imprisonment of media studies within the boundaries of a specific genre. With this regard, when we talk about interdisciplinarity, it is not a new concept. If we trace the historical roots, it gained the momentum in the academia after World War II, and with the concept that the globalized world order, disciplinary barriers only creating the hurdles for the knowledge creation. We are living in a globalized world, so we have to explore each and every dimension of the field so that we can create the good knowledge. The interdisciplinary study can also allow the students to share the ideas with scholars in the allied fields. If we say it further, it can also broaden the knowledge of the students in the global issues. With that broader knowledge, they can become a true knowledge seeker and problem solving thinkers. Who are more aware of cultural relationships and boundaries that shapes today's world. So the whole idea of interdisciplinary is to explore the each and every dimension of every field, because if we connect the fields together, we can explore more and more new avenues, so that the students can become a global citizen. Another thing is that by providing interdisciplinarity in any field, we can enjoy the greater flexibility of research and exploration, academic freedom of traveling in the new land, simply, and we can fill the gap between the modern academia which we are having, and we can create the unity of knowledge between two and more fields. So interdisciplinary is a need of era in each and every field, not only in media studies. If we talk in that sense, it is also said that the many problems can be addressed through the interdisciplinary approaches, and sometimes these approaches may detect the errors committed by the specific genre researchers. So moreover, if we talk more about this interdisciplinarity, creativity often requires interdisciplinary knowledge, and many researchers who are the immigrants make important contributions in the new field. So interdisciplinarity has started in the way back after World War II, but unfortunately in media studies, which has started, which has its roots in the different subjects like psychology, sociology, cultural theories, and other allied fields, it is not getting that much momentum, especially in India. I'm not talking about the foreign universities, especially in India, it is not getting the momentum. So if we see the models and theories of communication, we will see that these were developed by political scientists, sociologists, psychologists, cultural theorists, all are from allied fields. And interdisciplinarity in media and communication studies is not a new concept, simply. In academia earlier, even today in some universities, if you see the scenario, you will find out that the media studies subject is taught under the Faculty of Arts, Humanities and Social Sciences. And in some university, it is under management department too. Like I have just gone through to just see the interdisciplinary nature of media studies. In NEHU, the National Hill University, they are having the subject of journalism and mass communication under management department. So in earlier days, the media studies was taught by the educators from different backgrounds, not by the media professionals or media teachers especially. It was taught by the different educators from the different backgrounds. So why this question arises that we have to trace again, we have to relook at the approach of interdisciplinary in media studies, because this discipline, especially in India, not about the other countries, it is drifting away from the liberal art roots. Nowadays, a few efforts have been started in few universities that few universities have started media studies as a liberal arts subject. They are offering the subject as a liberal arts subject, but still a lot of things have to be done in this regard. Again, I want to just relook on the Indian Media Academia. If we see that the media studies department are treated as subsidiary department, not the full-fledged department in the Indian universities, and the discipline, which is still in a formative stage, because we are not having a universal curriculum for the media studies for all universities. It is in the formative state. We are formatting many things, and creating many things for the media studies departments. So it is a right time to talk about the interdisciplinarity in it. In foreign countries, if we talk about, they have already adopted it, or if they are doing it from the beginning. Not adopted it, they are doing it from the beginning. There you can see the combination of degrees like philosophy and communication, politics and communication, media and sociology, communication and cultural studies. A lot of other streams are amalgamating together, and they are offering combination of subjects, and they are proposing the real multidisciplinary nature, rather call it interdisciplinary. We can say it is a multidisciplinary nature of the media studies they are presenting in front of us. Because these all subjects are somehow interconnected, because media is having its root in communication, and and everything, without communication nothing can be done, simply. So everything is interconnected, and this is the right time, and we are doing the right discussion that we have to realize it. Nowadays we can find one more field which is getting momentum, such as artificial intelligence and media studies, data analytics and media studies. It is also getting momentum in foreign countries, but unfortunately in India we are not getting these types of subjects in our universities. Of course, a lot of new avenues are opening day by day, but we have to relook our curriculum, our structure, our study pattern, that how we are going to tackle the challenges which are coming in future in the field of media studies. Because traditional courses like MA in journalism, mass communication, I'm seeing a lot of hurdles are coming in those courses. Students are not coming. Students are coming for the liberal arts subjects. They want to read media, learn media with other subjects like psychology, sociology, political science. But specifically, if we go with the traditional subjects, they are, I think they are not going to survive. Okay. Again, I don't know why the Indian universities are not taking the step forward to re-look in their curriculum and re-look in their syllabus. Either they are afraid of interdisciplinary turn of media studies, or they are not having that type of resources to tackle with the challenges. Simply, if we see the interdisciplinarity and media studies, there is no doubt that if our students learn these subjects like political science, they will surely benefit in that field. Like if I take an example, a journalist having good knowledge of political science can report politics in a better way. Or if a journalist is having a knowledge of international relations, it can report in a better way. So interdisciplinarity in media studies is going to greatly benefit its stakeholders. And we can think on starting some degrees and diplomas. I have collected a lot of courses from some universities with the nomenclature they are offering the courses to their students. Like I got a one course, philosophy, communication and media studies, media culture and everyday life, politics and media studies, gender studies and media, media and economics, media and management, AI and media studies, data sciences and communication. So this is an evolving field, and it can be done with the help of computer science department. So any university which is having the computer science department, and they can collaborate, and they can propose the course of data sciences and communication, because data sciences can't be taught alone by the media educators, those who are core in the field of media education, media, data and society. So a lot of fields are interconnecting together. Can we think on that? If we can think, then it's surely going to benefit our students, because they are going to be future leaders. And in the coming days, we have to revamp, we have to adopt it. Why not right now? So some of the other efforts are already have discussed that some universities are offering media studies in the liberal art format. So a lot of things are changing very rapidly. Many things are coming very rapidly. Two universities can come together to plan one course, one such course. Like one course I got media and translation. So it is again having an interconnection. Translation is again having a lot of importance in the media studies. So why not to connect and create the course like media and translation, intercultural studies and media. We can have intercultural dialogue and media studies, because it is again a very emerging field, and intercultural dialogue and media studies, philosophy and media studies. So people are making efforts, but those efforts are not sustained. We require the sustained effort in this area. So with this, I would like to conclude that for adopting this interdisciplinarity, we have to take a sustained approach, not just for the sake of adopting the interdisciplinarity. We have started few courses, but we are not giving the justification of that thing. So we are requiring a sustained approach. I would love to listen to the fellow speakers, because all are more learned to me. And I would love to listen others. Thank you very much for providing me this space. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for setting the right tone, which was essential. I myself is, as an example of interdisciplinary approach, because I have done my BMA and MPhil in international relations. So I know what connects better when you are coming from other background. There are certain issues which are there. The beauty of media science, or the beauty of mass communication, is it can incorporate each and every element what is there in humanities and literature. That's the beauty of this subject. And it's a high time that we talk about it, we include in our curriculum, and we have our fellow panelists who would look into this and discuss on it. Our next panelist is now we welcome our chief guest of the evening, Mr. Amit Sengupta. Though he's not from the academics, he was having some, just called me up in the evening. He's a very busy person as head of media and communications, as there's Bengal summit going on. The entire day he was tied up, but still he gave his valuable time. He is head of media and communications at the British Deputy High Commission in Kolkata. He strategizes, designs, and implements the strategic communications work for the UK government in the East and Northeast region of India. Amit leads on the public diplomacy work for the UK government in collaboration with partners. One of the core things he does here is create meaningful digital impact of the UK government's work in region. He coordinates with teams based in Kolkata, Delhi, Hong Kong, London for the Great Britain campaign. Amit has previously spoken as one of the guest speakers in the National Media Conclave Orissa in November 2020, organized by Utkal University. He has also participated as one of the key speakers in the first ever edition of Science Communication Conclave hosted by the prestigious IIT Kharagpur in February 2020. He plays cricket and is a skilled documentary filmmaker. Over to you, Amit sir. Are you there? Yes. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. I think there's some technical issue. Can you just log out and then log in once again? Yeah, kindly bear with us. So Mr. Sengupta will talk about his journey and how corporate communications is an integral part of our curriculum, our media studies. What are the skills those are required to nurture as a young professional? Because these are very important aspects. What we are saying, theory is not, theory is also important, but the applications are also important part where students can actually be part of the industry. Yeah, Mr. Sengupta is back. Let's see. Yeah, Mr. Sengupta, are you there? Yeah, he's back, but okay, he's requesting that he has some issues. So we can. Okay.
I think you may proceed with the next speaker.
Yeah. We move
then,
on to our next speaker. No issue on
try
that.
again coming in.
Yeah.
Sir, Amit, you can try again coming in.
We can move on to our next speaker. Our next speaker is eminent educator, Professor Padma Ramesh. Padma Ramesh, a master's in English literature, has more than 20 years experience in fields as diverse as media, teaching, and training. She was the editor of Hindu Opportunities, the Wednesday supplement of the Hindu for 7 years, as well as Appointment Times, a career supplement of Khalees Times, Dubai. She also has to her credit a diploma in film appreciation from FTII Pune. Her association with the print media has been an extraordinary 15 years, during which time she was associated in various capacities with newspapers like News Time, Indian Express, and The Hindu. Mrs. Ramesh was involved with the teaching of functional and business English to the MS students of IT program across Andhra Pradesh. She also worked as head of corporate communications of Bairazu Foundation, the CSR wing of Satyam, and then of Vanpik Industries and was Professor of Business Communication and Soft Skills at IBS Hyderabad. A recipient of Vijayavani National Education Leadership Awards for the Best Teacher Mass Communication. She's presently the Dean of Annapurna College of Film and Media, Hyderabad. And we proudly announces, GMA proudly announces the Eminent Media Educator Award to Professor Padma Ramesh. I call upon Professor Dr. Ambarish Saxena to confer the award virtually to ma'am.
Thank you, Momita. So it's indeed a matter of honor to all the media educators in this forum of GSEC, wherein this award is being conferred on Professor Padma Ramesh. And as Momita has just read out the profile, and I mean, most of us know her, the versatile personality that she has, because she has been into journalism, she has been in corporate communication, she has been in films, and she is in education and research. So she has a multifaceted personality, and we are really proud to confer this award on her, the Eminent Media Educator Award to her. May I request the technical team to please run the video.
As our Vice President has just now already conferred, but I would still am tempted to add one sentence here. Knowing Padmaji for quite some time, I might claim that I'm her friend. I'm so proud to see you as one of the top 75 media educators of India today evening, along with J.S. Jadavji and Gita Bamjai Nagaraj Sahib, and all others, Mrinal Chatterjee, and many others who have been already awarded earlier, Usha Rani, Dr. Usha Rani, and Dr. Tapati Basu, many others. Along with them, I'm so happy to see, and I hope that you continue doing the fabulous work that you are doing in Annapurna. Even your institute is such a picturesque place, a beautiful place in the Jubilee Hills of Hyderabad. And I'm told that you are looking at a new campus as well going ahead. Over to you, Professor Padma Ramesh. Congratulations once again for doing what you are doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ujjwal Chowdhury. Thank you very much, Dr. Ambarish Saxena. Good evening to all the distinguished panelists and guests present here today. At the outset, I must tell you all how deeply honored and humbled I am by the recognition given to me by the Global Media Education Council by conferring this award upon me. I really do not think that I'm worth it, but it's wonderful to be recognized for the little work which I have done in the field. I also feel extremely privileged to be speaking here today amidst stalwarts of media education and to share some of my thoughts on the subject. You know, whether it is media studies, whether it is journalism, and nowadays, as Professor Chowdhury just said, films. I have, when I was being introduced, I have somebody told me, said that I have an academic background in English literature. And I started my career as a print journalist. I worked as a journalist for nearly 2 decades with a number of papers before moving on to take up roles in management and training. And, after a rewarding number of years in training and management, I began a new journey. It was as a teacher, I would say. I don't even like to call myself professor because I have a long way to go. A teacher of films, of film studies in the Annapurna College of Film and Media in Hyderabad, where presently I'm working as a dean. So one might just say that my career in the, just excuse me, please, I have a little problem with my, yeah, sorry. So as a media educator has taken an interdisciplinary approach too. So coming to today's topic, interdisciplinary approach to media studies. This term is something which gets thrown around in the field of education quite a lot nowadays. Very often I have wondered before I kind of went deep into the subject, saying, what does interdisciplinary study really mean? What is the approach? Why is it so desirable today, in today's scenario? These kind of questions are and should be interest the creative mind. For what an interdisciplinary thought seeks to do is overcome this tendency that we all have as educators, as students, towards one specialization, which is a very traditional way of thinking, because every discipline looks at a specialization which becomes integral to it. An interdisciplinary approach seeks common pathways of approaching problems or approaching problem solving and creative activities. What I would like to do today is give a little bit background to the approach before talking about what we do in our college as part of an interdisciplinary approach. Interestingly, when one talks of interdisciplinary approach, it's very interesting to know that this concept of interdisciplinary education goes way back to Leonardo da Vinci, who immortalized excellence not only as an artist, inventor, and scientist, but he was an architect, poet, historian, and many things more. So he was the first person who talked about interdisciplinary approach, I guess. So this kind of approach, the interdisciplinary approach, nature of media studies has enabled its growth and expansion. And it has become a discipline. Media studies over the years has become a discipline of its own, with its own parameters, with its own limitations and expansions. But can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Sorry. Yeah. So, so as I was saying, this approach or thrust of media education owes much to the media's basic nature, because media's basic nature is being reliant on the social, political, economic, and cultural forces which are there present in the environment. Interdisciplinary research and education signifies using ideas, methods from more than one discipline, as we have other speakers have said. One of the biggest positives of this kind of approach is that this type of study allows the students to learn by making connections. I'm sure I'm saying things and repeating things which everybody knows here. All the stalwarts who have taught in the field of communication and media studies know about it. But I would just like to reiterate a couple of things before I go on to talk about my own subject, films. So this study allows students to make connections from disparate disciplines and different disciplines, ideas, and concepts. Students who learn in this way are able to apply knowledge gained in one discipline to the other, and becomes a huge and a very deep and satisfying learning experience. So the most effective approach to interdisciplinary study is to enable students to build their own interdisciplinary pathway by choosing courses which make sense to them. For instance, in my own college, though it is an out and out film college where we teach filmmaking, which, it's a 4-year and a 2-year course, we also have a lot of emphasis on media studies. We also teach law. We also teach research. We also teach liberal arts like psychology and philosophy. What could be more interdisciplinary than this? For example, it's not too difficult to find a theme which crosses over, disciplinary boundaries in literature, art, or history, or science, or even mathematics. When you study topics thematically in one way to bring ideas together, the learning becomes more meaningful. And this can occur only by letting the students choose their own subjects and to learn, and their learning is deepened when they reflect upon these connections which they are getting from the various other disciplines. This is especially true of especially contemporary educational landscape, where there's a multiplicity of subject areas, and it becomes very difficult for a single discipline to remain confined to its own discipline organization, as it were. So in my college, for instance, so this relatively young discipline, I would like to say this, it is a young academic discipline actually, is becoming so important in various fields. For example, from television to cinema, from radio to podcast, from social media to blogs and everything in between. The interdisciplinary nature of media plays a very important role. And especially so today, when in an internet age, where people like, it's so easy for people from my field. When I say my field, I meant films. So where actors or singers or even minor personalities can become celebrities online using skills which they pick it up in college or otherwise, their media skills. So as technology, creativity, and competition increases, these skills have become more and more important in the world. So media studies, for instance, now let me just gather my thoughts a little bit. Excuse me. So talking of media studies, does it help the person only within the given field, or does it equip one with communication and technology skills which are needed to succeed in a modern workplace? Well, it's not necessary that it should be a media industry or not. Whether one chooses to pursue a career in film or television, whether one wants to become famous on Insta or any of the social media networking, media studies or media arts gives you these skills, and these skills come from the very fact that this discipline is not just confined to media only. Like somebody, like earlier, the professor was mentioning, Professor Shukla was mentioning how it takes from various other disciplines like psychology, for instance, anthropology, sociology, political science. So when students today opt for a subject, to study a subject like media arts or media studies, they will for sure be equipped for what a modern workplace is looking for. So now talking of media studies, right from its inception, right from the beginning as an academic field, the discipline of media and communication studies has demonstrated that it can very well borrow and integrate knowledge and various theoretical loops or various theoretical strands from political science, economics, cultural studies, and anthropology, to name a few. Media studies, as we all know, is basically an umbrella term that encompasses nearly every aspect of modern life. My students create video games, then they analyze from video games to analyzing journalism, to answering the question, what is interactive media? The scope of media studies, modern media studies, is really limitless. In fact, I would like to share here one of my students who passed out a couple of years ago, now is working in a field where they are using AI, artificial, like somebody was mentioning artificial intelligence. And it is amazing to see these students who have passed out from a regular degree course to go and work in a field where AI or artificial intelligence is used as a major tool to make films. So they create these huge sets which do not really exist. So this becomes a really wonderful experience for not only the students who work in the area, but also us educators who groom these students to work towards a modern reality like this. But however, as communication systems and information flows become increasingly central components of social, economic, and political activity at all levels, media education has remained marginal within the educational systems. The media themselves are constantly changing, expanding, and developing. However, despite the media changing so much, and also becoming flexible, our education system needs to be equally flexible and open to change. This is an important aspect which perhaps I hope we can talk about, how the education system in the country, and of course now with the new national education policy, we can look at how flexible education can become to give give agency to more and more students to learn across disciplines. So over the past 50 years, in fact, over the past 50 years, the associated fields of communication and media studies have expanded perhaps hugely, vastly than any other academic field, apart from computer science and biomedicine, of course. As the sector becomes more diverse and dynamic, degrees in the field of media and communication studies are also growing in popularity, and they have become very relevant, very exciting, and very powerful subjects one could choose to study today. Talking of why is interdisciplinary approach important? Interdisciplinarity brings with it a sense of innovation, a diversity of perspectives, a comprehensive approach to tackle problematic issues, collaboration and integration of knowledge systems, traditional versus modern, and a traditional system of education is sometimes not able to handle these approaches. So interdisciplinarity is a process in which educators, researchers, and professionals can work jointly, drawing from one another's discipline to address a common problem, which can be very, very beneficial to the students working in the fields or studying the subject. The advantages of this approach are many. It is multifaceted, it is rich, it is diverse in terms of perspective, it is skill oriented, and it helps in the expansion of knowledge horizons. Interdisciplinary research and education is also very challenging because I'm surprised because traditionally educators and researchers like us, most of us are trained in theories and methods and practices of a single discipline, like Thompson has written about, whereas an interdisciplinary approach calls for continuous communication between two or more disciplines. So how can the field of media studies and mass communication, which has its own discipline actually, benefit from the interdisciplinary links with other departments and research approaches from other fields? Students who graduate in communication programs today face very different kind of challenges, which the students did earlier in 80s or 90s. In fact, the kind of challenges I faced when I was doing my studies in mass communications are very different. And so the students face different challenges today because there have been unprecedented changes in global economy and technology, as well as in the cultural ethos, in the ethnic and cultural issues worldwide. And of course, the landscape of studying mass communication has also changed vastly. So this New direction calls for greater focus on interdisciplinary study of the liberal arts in mass communication as well as media studies. And of course, like the others have mentioned, this approach to study and research and teaching will help students grow and succeed in their chosen work. Previously, media studies was taught under the banner of different faculties such as humanities, arts, social sciences. But today, and this is again a point which had been mentioned earlier, major academic works produced comes from disciplines and from authors who have no background in a traditional discipline. Even lecturers and educators are drawn from backgrounds like sociology or political science or psychology or literature, who venture into the field of media studies. Here, I would also like to tell you that I myself am a student of literature and linguistics who happened to enter the field of media, and from where I learned a lot in my years of experience or my decades of experience. I picked up so much through interaction and through interdisciplinary way of learning. So hence media studies has to reckon with the fact that interdisciplinary affiliations are here to stay. They are very, very important, especially so in the Indian context of education and research. And so we have to recognize the fact that we as educators, we as research scholars have to recognize the need to address the interdisciplinary concerns of the subject. Educators and many have argued that colleges are already accomplishing what is necessary to train the Gen Z students by instilling rigor and assessment in the curriculum. Indeed, a number of colleges and universities have made strides in this regard and improved their core curriculum. But however, there are some very, very essential questions which remain answered, as mentioned earlier by Professor Momita. Most of the colleges or most of the studies, do they really address students' need to adopt or go on different pathways? And this is where my college, Annapurna College of Film and Media, is working towards, to give students a kind of education which does not limit them, which does not limit their growth only as filmmakers, but will open up the creative field, will open up a number of pathways for them to excel in. So while many courses in mass communication and media curriculum, may help students with their first job, a broader interdisciplinary education will help them move into meaningful higher level jobs. This broader knowledge will help them become true knowledge seekers, and they will become problem solving thinkers who are aware of cultural relationships and boundaries that shapes today's world. The faculty, of course, is also being challenged with this new way of teaching, and they also have to provide students with deep learning experiences that compel them to challenge assumptions, create new ways of thinking, and to take new risks in the classrooms. So to create this environment of excellence, the best college teachers are becoming more and more familiar with the best learning practices and conditions in which learning will flourish in the classrooms. So, just to humor me, let me talk a little bit about cinema education and cultural studies. Cultural studies, which of course loosely encompasses film studies, literary studies, philosophy, and interdisciplinary approach. In my institute, I would want to digress a little bit and talk about what we do differently in my institute. So in my college, for instance, the interdisciplinary nature of our program, which we give to the students, it allows students to experience different approaches to film and the study. So we have film and cultural differences. We have basic film vocabulary, film history, film and social forces, film genres, film theories, film directors, film aesthetics, film production. All these are being taught as part of media studies. All these are being taught as film studies. As all these are being taught as an approach to an interdisciplinary way of looking at film as a subject and entertainment as a field. So this approach is certainly bearing fruit, as is visible from the creative work of the students. So as I mentioned earlier, from television to cinema, whatever the students are doing, their stamp of creativity is there. So when a student comes and tells me that they have learned something, a new concept or a way to delineate a character in a film because of what they learned in a psychology class, it is thanks to that interdisciplinary approach which we strive to take. And this is just an example, because I think more and more universities, more and more educators should emphasize on this approach. So for young graduates, which we bring out to be successful in the present high turnover employment scenario, they need to have skills which they need mostly very, which are needed most by them, which are called transferable skills in today's world, namely, and these transferable skills are namely creative and critical thinking skills. They should have strong analytical reasoning skills, oral and written communication skills, cultural literacy, global perspectives, knowledge of ethics, a little bit knowledge of law, so that they can apply all this knowledge obtained to a real world experience or go forward. Only an interdisciplinary education can provide all this and more. The results are abundant skill sets and a continuous search in career options for these graduates. Interdisciplinarity will contribute definitely to the widening of the horizons of media researchers, educators, students, and professionals. Apart from enriching the knowledge base of more than one discipline, interdisciplinarity in media studies, especially in India, is the need of the hour, owing to the increase. I'm sorry, I think it. Am I audible now? Sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I think by mistake, yeah, it went on mute. So I was talking about how media studies and the interdisciplinary approach is very important today, in today's scenario. So there is a need to cultivate the sensibility of media practitioners towards many issues in Indian society. And since media research and education is still in its formative stage in the country, this is the right time to let interdisciplinary approach take roots in media colleges and universities. Research and education are holistic processes, and we should not let a disciplinary background hinder the progress of these fields. In one of my many conversations with Professor Ujjwal Chowdhury, we have always talked about how we should, make our institutions more creative, where we give creative feedback, where this is the time for creative studies. This is the time for, this is the right time to have institutions which give importance to creative learning, creative problem solving, to creative feedback. And this can be achieved only through an interdisciplinary approach. But having said that, one of the biggest barriers to achieving a true interdisciplinary study in education is the necessity and the need for collaboration of educators. It is little difficult, but not really impossible. When professionals from different disciplines can work together to serve a common purpose and help students to make the connections between different disciplines or subject areas, this field will become very, very, will bear fruit, will take flight, as it were. And I would like to ask, what is it that holds Indian media research and education to experiment with different disciplinary connections? We are very shy of doing it. Personally, I do think that the answer lies in the inflexibility of the Indian education system. And this is something which we must, as educators, as heads of institutions, aim, discuss or talk about. The Indian education system presently is kind of very shy of innovation because it is very conventional, it is very traditional, it has got very fixed notions of success. So for instance, it would be very difficult now, it is indeed very difficult for an Indian student who is studying either for engineering or MBBS or any other professional course to opt for an elective course on media and gender, for instance, because they have been socialized into an education system that is meant not for knowledge gaining, but for career building. And here is my hope that the new education policy, which the government is talking about, will bring about the relevant changes, that where more and more students will be able to take up subjects which are not related to their area of specialization. We can indeed propose an appropriate model for media curriculums to be more enriching, more encompassing, and more comprehensive by incorporating elements of interdisciplinarity. This can be done in various ways. And of course, each institution can devise their own curriculum depending on their own convenience and suitability. Of course, keeping in mind the fact that the approach should be, and the emphasis should be on an interdisciplinary way. In conclusion, I have taken a lot of my time. In conclusion, I would like to say that interdisciplinary approaches to education have come in vogue very lately, and they have not really been implemented with the kind of spirit that they ideally should be. So rather than just an approach to education and research, interdisciplinary approach should be inculcated in the way students and researchers look at various problems, look at the complex world, and how do they deal with it. It is for us as educators to go out, to unlearn some of the things, mix up things, and relearn, so that we give our students a better way of learning and a better way of dealing and making their own careers. Thank you so much.
Padma ma'am, very well spoken, very clearly, very distinctly. And I strongly believe within the government setup, the IIMC, and in the private setup, Annapurna Film School, these are two competent and well-placed institutes which can actually think of multidisciplinary creative university of the future. The IIMC thing is already on since the times of our president of GMAC, Professor KG Suresh was the director general there. The things were on. I don't know what stalemate is there in the bureaucracy. There was also an attempt in which I was also involved in Ramoji Film City, but then his priorities were not education. I hope that your institute can evolve to be India's first dedicated, full-scale, multidisciplinary creative university. Thank you for your presence and congratulations once again.
Thank you so much,
ma'am, for this wonderful speech. I have some major takeaways from your speech, which I have noted it down. Like you have emphasized on interdisciplinary approach like liberal arts, law. Young students should have, should be given that choice of subjects. There should not be any particular box. So we can't say it's a universal. That's the beauty of media studies. You have so many elements out. You are yourself from English literature. I am from international relations. So we know the beauty of interdisciplinary. So much windows and doors. We must keep our doors and windows open. Yes, you have emphasized on the curriculum changes, which is very essential part because media is changing tremendously. Every second really counts. Especially this pandemic has really changed the entire dynamics of our outlook. We as educators, for last 2 years, how many technologically, how we have changed, how we have upgraded ourselves. We educators have also learned, relearn, unlearn everything that we have included in your speech. And to end it up, a very important point for youngsters, that is to have critical minds. To have critical thinking is very, very important, very pertinent. I always state, like I hope you know about Ritik Ghotok as a film educator. He's one of the most, celebrated filmmakers. One of his last films, though I would say in Bangla, that's I would say in Bangla, bhabo practice kar. That means think and think, and think is what you need in life. Okay, so with that, thank you so much and congratulations for your award. I then move on to our next speaker of the evening. We call upon our keynote speaker, Dr. Abbas Ghanwari, Pakistan from Tehran. And Dr. Abbas is an assistant professor at University of Tehran. He is the International Scientific Advisor of Islamic World Science Citation Center and International Advisor of Information and Communication Technology Park, ICT Park. The title of the speech of the evening would be Media Landscape in the Fifth Dome, Challenges and Opportunities. Over to you, sir. Please unmute yourself.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you are audible.
Okay, good. Before I start, may I have some comments on Prof. Padma's talk?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, good. Yes, in line with her insist on interdisciplinary approach, I wanted to share some point from the Nature, the Nature journals, which is very famous in the world. According to the articles published in 2019, they investigate all the published papers around the world, and then around the world from 1950 till 2019. It's almost 70 years, right? Then, according to the result of the paper, they say that in 1950, 48% of the articles has only one authors or single authors. Then, right, and then 50% has more than one authors, meaning that at that time the major trends was just single authors, writers, or only one person do research. But the interesting result in 2019 is 40% only has one authors, right? 40% has only one authors, and then 60% of the papers or articles has more than one authors. This is the importance of interdisciplinary approach. And to complete the Dr. Momito's comments saying that our students should go for interdisciplinary approach, I think we should start from ourselves. The lecturers, the educators should start. Unfortunately, the trends remain same. we would like to have our own paper, our own research, and then thinking that if we do it alone, it will be much better. But to be honest, the recent trend is interdisciplinary approach. And thank you for Prof. Patmad for raising this issue in this webinar. So it's my turn to talk, right? Dr. Momita?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Again, good evening, and thank you very much for inviting me to give a talk in your webinar. Especially thanks to the members of the panels for giving me this opportunity to give a talk. Congratulations for the 75th years of being independence in India. And more notable for me, congratulations for having more than a century media educations in your country. To be exact, 101 years, right? If I'm not mistaken. Media educations in your country, which is so good. I want to start my talk with something that might be very interesting for you. And I'm not sure whether you know that or not. You know, the first Iranian media and the first Persian newspapers initiated in India before Iran. Almost 224 years back, we had the Persian media in India, and only 40 years after India, we had the first newspapers in Iran. Then I would like to say thanks again to the India for your contributions in the developments of media in my country. Thank you very much. Okay, now I am going to give my talk, which is about media landscapes in the Fifth Dome. And then
you can share your presentation if you have no issue on.
Yeah, no issue. I can share, no problem.
Yeah, you can share it.
Okay, can you see my presentation?
Yeah, yes, yeah, it's visible.
Okay, great. It's about the Fifth Dome, the media landscape in the Fifth Dome. And again, in line with the Prof. Patmad's presentations, I'm going to talk from the interdisciplinary approach, which is political science. The concept of dome, I borrow from the political science when they talk about the concept of modern states and also the governance in different dome. We have 5 domes in the political science called earth, sea, air, and space. Okay, in media and communications, if we go back to the history of media developments, we have the similar discourse related to each dome. When we talk about the printed media, when we talk about radio and TV, when we talk about the satellites, all these discourses we have had during the past decades. Now, on the 5th dome, which is cyberspace, we are at the early stage of shaping media and communications landscape. We face with a lot of challenges, we face with a lot of opportunities, but unfortunately, we do not complete our landscape. We do not complete the way that we are going, and we still, to be honest, we are still confused what's going to happen actually next. Nowadays, every day we are facing a new paradigm shifts in the media. Every day we can see a new revolutions on media and also on ICT, and all these paradigm shifts day by day challenge our governments or governance in our nations. We can highlight the both positive and negative aspects. yes, if we look at it, if you look at from the positive side, the economic developments, the opportunities for freedoms, the opportunities for human rights and etc. can be something good. But beside the positive aspect, we have a negative things as well, which I personally believe is affected us more than positive aspects, like the cyber attacks, cyber crime, cyber espionage, and etc. When I go through the literatures, I realized that some scholars highlight the decades 2000, 2010 as the breaking points for the fifth dome. And then when I come to the communications and media, I realized that it's the time that new social media or new platforms like Facebook and later on Twitter's emerge. And we have seen a lot of cases that these social media interfere the current global orders. Like in Egypt, in the Middle East, we face with the what we call traditional revolutions or spring revolutions or Islamic revolutions. It doesn't matter what we call it, but we face with a lot of challenges that everyone here and there witness it and raise a big questions in our minds. Okay, what's going to be the future of media in the fifth dome? What we should do, what we have to consider, and what we need actually plans for the future. Before I go through the challenges and opportunities of the media, I would like to say that in the literature, I find two ways that scholars perceive the fifth dome from the media and communication perspective. One way is they say that the fifth dome is the continuous of the physical world, meaning that whatever law and regulations and whatever policies that we do have in the physical world, we can extend to the fifth dome. The another ways that scholars perceive the fifth domes is that the fifth domes is totally new world which we cannot extend the current law and regulations, the current policies to the fifth dome. Then we have to initiate a totally new policies, totally new procedures, totally new regulations, which is very, very difficult. Doesn't matter which ways we consider as the right way, we can put it away, but the reality is we are facing with something totally new that we never had experience in before. So here I'm going to raise some agenda, both positive and negative agenda, or both challenging agenda or opportunities agenda that we really need to think about it before it's become very late. Here you can see media governance. Okay, it was somehow easy to governance the printed media. We have experience on it too much. It's easy to, nowadays, it's easy to governance the TV and radio stations. It's easy to governance the cinema here and in all the countries. But how about the platforms? How about the social media? What we can do, right? Internet governance, another issue that we face from early of this century. We face with a lot of problems that from the internet comes to the countries and challenge all the governments. Media educations that the previous speakers talk about it. Do the social media educations enter to our universities as independent disciplines? I don't think so. At least in my country, I know that we just consider it as 1 or 2 credit course within a lot of disciplines, which definitely is not enough. Study on the Facebook, study on Twitter, all these things need independent disciplines to just study social media. It's not easy to, very sorry, it's not easy. We hide social media or platforms inside every single disciplines without we go more in depth to see what they are doing, how they are working, and what they are going to do with us. Media infrastructures, which is very important. Just look at the 5 top global platforms like Facebook, like Google, like Apple, like Amazon, and see who is belong to whom, which country. Do we have our own global platform, for example, in Iran? About India, I'm not sure, but I know that there is a big battles between India and China on the global platform. There is a fight between the two countries. India will remove some Indian applications from the online stores, but it still need to get help from United States, from those countries who have these actually infrastructures. Or now look at the war between Ukraine and Russia. See, Russia may overcome the Ukraine physically, or they may attack Ukraine, and they may be successful, but in online platforms, Russia fail actually. You know, in online platforms like Twitter, like Google, they cannot. Russia failed to attack or to overcome the Western platform that they initiated before. The confusions of the users. Nowadays, peoples or users are facing with a lot of issues, with a lot of news. Basically, we have the concept of fake news. See what fake news are doing with our society. At least we have 2 years experience the coronavirus pandemic around the world. And if you go to any of the countries, it doesn't matter in the West or in the East, people are affected from fake news a lot regarding to the coronavirus. Media literacy, which is related to confusions of the users. Interdepartment confusions. Who is actually managing or who is governing the social media in our countries? I'm not sure about India actually, but when I look at my country, there is no unique departments which is responsible for social media. At the same time, all departments are responsible for governance of the social media. At the end, what we can see is confusions for both organizations, for both government companies, as well as for the users. So these are some of the challenges that actually we can raise. There are a lot, I'm sure that you also are aware of that, but I just raised actually few of them for just to be highlighted here. Beside the challenges, we have opportunities as well. Beside the technical opportunities that we also have in our countries, but we go to the deep part of the social media studies, there are a lot of scarce commodities. There is a lot of things which is missed in our countries at the regions or at international level. The most important things is building trust and confidence on cyberspace. This is the two big discourse that I personally believe we needed at both national and international levels. Do our media or social media or users or very sorry, I just recovered from coronavirus and I'm still having some coughs. Very sorry. Building trust. Do our media practice or do our media are working to build trust among the nations? Why we have a lot of confusions among the people, between the countries, between the nations at the global level. Capacity buildings. Before us, some of the speakers raised the issue of media educations. If we educate our students well, it's a big capacity for futures. Now we have a very famous journalist, we have a very famous reporters, but they are good for printed media. They are good for TV and radio. But how about the social media? How about the platforms? Do we have a very famous influence who work for peace? Do we have a good global influence who work for human rights? No, we don't have. We may have, but they are working for business, for advertisements only. Human rights, missions for cyber diplomacy, creating awareness about the cyber crime. Missions for the cyber diplomacy nowadays, I think is very important. There is a war between Russia and Ukraine, and everyone knows that platforms, social medias are fighting along with the Western governments against Russia. I know that you heard Twitter remove all the bans, all the rules, all the regulations for Russia. They say users can write whatever they want against Russia, right? They say whatever you want, you can write against Putin, is the president of the Russia. But they ban some things for the Russian people that they cannot write on social media. They ban the same things if Russian users want to write against, for example, the president of the United States. So they are a very strong wings for actually the diplomacy. Cyberspace provide us opportunity if we can use for diplomacy, international diplomacy, regional diplomacy, or even national diplomacy, and participations on the governance of internet and other ICTs. I know your country also faced with a lot of challenges from the internet. I think the previous speakers also raised this issue. So what we can do? Do we have famous scholars who can create a new discourse, a new dialogue for such things? Can the developing countries participate in ICON, which is actually responsible for governance of the internet? I don't think that we do have such things. That's why we are actually all the times, or many of times, we just follow them. We just follow whatever come from them, and we actually somehow raising our hands. So to conclude my discussions, in my investigations about the media landscapes on the fifth dome, I realized that we are really on the early stage of the fifth dome. Very few countries already entered this dome, and very few of them have their independence policy for the fifth dome. They have, very few of them have they regulated how to act on the fifth dome in terms of the media and communications. And unfortunately, at the regional and international levels, also we cannot find any meaningful discourses. If we go back to 1960, we have had a lot of international discourses about the free flow of informations. We have a lot of meaningful discourse about how the satellites, the international, the global TV should be regulated. at that times, we have had a lot of intelligence leaders. Your ex-president Mahatma Gandhi was one of them, actually. But nowadays, to be honest, most of our leaders are somehow crazy. Look at the presidents of the United States, Donald Trump. Look at the most of the Europeans, actually leaders, or Asian leaders. What we should do? We are really in trouble, and I don't know at what we should do at international level, what we should do at national level, what we should do at academic level. International level or national level, maybe we need some intelligence leaders who can lead the global discourse about the social media, about the media operatings in the fifth dome. But I think the most important role will be on our shoulders as a communication, as a media and communications scholars. I believe that we need to sit down together. We have to discuss on the events like these webinars. We have to share our idea. We have to go for interdisciplinary approach and come out with one voice, with one slogan, and maybe with one discourse. Hopefully at the end, the governments, the leaders will listen us. Thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you very much for opportunities given to me. If there is any comments, if there is any issue, I would be glad to hear.
Thank you so much, sir, for your brilliant deliberation. Very, very pertinent questions. Yeah. Can you just stop sharing, sir?
Yes, sure. Just a moment. Actually, my laptop's hanged.
Okay, I'm just doing it.
Can you? Okay.
Yeah, I've done. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for this brilliant speech of yours. Very important questions.
My pleasure.
Yeah, very important questions put, because I myself teach media laws and ethics, and time while discussing about ethics, I myself becomes, sometimes the questions I can't answer. I don't have answers. So here you have put it rightly that we need to discuss, we need to have a common discourse, come up with certain things which are on universal level throughout the world, so that we can put pressure on government and the administration for justice and for governance, proper governance.
Yeah.
The pointers, the talking points that you have focused on, like need of the hour are media governance, internet governance, media education, media infrastructure, confusion of the users. Very rightly, you have put that leaders have become crazy throughout the world. Okay, I'm not naming anyone, and everybody knows here as the panelists, how to question and to put forward your own thought process has become a big question mark on social media. Interdepartmental confusion, cyber diplomacy, creating awareness about cybercrime. These are some of the very essential elements. And yes, at the end, you have put it rightly that what we should do, we should share ideas, especially with the media educators, so then we can put pressure on governments and with proper governance, which is very essential part of media education. Thank you so much for this brilliant deliberation. At the end, we come to Mr. Sengupta, who's been waiting. I hope he's there with us as the chief guest. Mr. Sengupta, Amit Sengupta. Are you there, sir?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can't see you. Can you just come on camera?
Can you hear and see me now?
Yeah, completely fine. Completely fine. I just briefly, give your intro. Amit Sengupta is the head of media and communications at the British Deputy High Commission in Kolkata. He strategizes, designs, and implements the strategic communications work for the UK government in the east and northeast region of India. Amit leads on the public diplomacy work for the UK government in collaboration with partners. One of the core things he does here is create meaningful digital impact of the UK government's work in the region. He coordinates teams based in Kolkata, Delhi, Hong Kong, London for the Great Britain campaign. And he has spoken to many prestigious conclave. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Momita Dedas, for inviting me on this prestigious panel on session on media studies and interdisciplinary approach. I hope you can hear me all right.
Yeah, it's completely fine.
Fine, brilliant. And apologies for the audio disruption in the beginning. It always happens with the audio. I was in Bhubaneswar last month to celebrate Commonwealth Day in collaboration with the Department of Sports, Government of Odisha, and we were hosting a reception for some distinguished guests in a hotel, and the same audio problem happened there. So apologies once again. I would like to start by congratulating Professor Padma Ramesh Annapurna for the award she received and the recognition she received through this session. And I would first like to thank Global Media Education Council and the committee for thinking about me and bringing me on board. This is a stellar panel. I realize I'm the only media practitioner in this panel and probably the youngest of the lot. And I would be talking from a completely industry perspective, even though I don't work for a private industry or a corporate firm. My job in the UK government as a representative of the UK government in the eastern city of Kolkata in India is primarily to lead on strategic communications. And we, within the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, which has several overseas posts, for example, the one in India, which is headquartered in Delhi, and we are a subordinate post in Kolkata. We lead on something called public diplomacy. My previous speaker, Professor Abbas, was talking, he mentioned briefly about international diplomacy. And we at the diplomatic mission in Kolkata also deal with public diplomacy. And in fact, my role as a communications head here deals a lot with public diplomacy and strategic communication. So coming to strategic communications and public diplomacy, it is a great coincidence that today is the National Public Relations Day in India. And what better day to talk about it on such a distinguished panel. So I would like to thank Ms. Momita Dedas once again for bringing me here. Why do we communicate? That's the most important question when you wear the hat of campaigns manager or a corporate communications or a PR strategist of any organization. The why part is very, very important. For us, I would say we communicate to inform, we communicate to increase awareness, and we communicate to influence our audience. And if these three parameters or reasons of communication are clear, then we proceed to the next question. The next important question is, what do we want to achieve out of that communication? And for us here as a strategic communications function within the UK's Foreign Office in Kolkata, our primary and one of the most significant aspect of this answer is to create perceptions or to change perceptions of the UK in this part of the country of India. So we are always in the business of creating perceptions, creating positive perceptions towards the UK, creating or changing old and perceptions that are negative towards the UK to make them positive with meaningful communications that work with the government stakeholders, with private bodies, with different stakeholders. So this part, once we
Mr. Sengupta, no audio is coming. No audio. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now it's fine.
All right. So the how part. So once we are clear about the why and the why you communicate, and we then move on to how we communicate. And we have various ways of communicating. That's number one would be through press and media. One of the core functions of PR or corporate communications strategies would be to establish friendly press and media relations with the media industry, so that it all helps and boils down to creating positive brand image, creating a positive reputation of their brand that they work for. So that's most important and most significant, creating and nurturing positive relationships with the press and media industry. The second one is stakeholder mapping and stakeholder relationships. Different government bodies, municipal bodies, state governments, central governments, various chambers of commerce, various industry functionaries, various corporate organizations, youth organizations, NGOs. Wide variety of relationships matter a lot. Stakeholder relationship is very, very important. And what's the third one? The third one is representational programs where our diplomats participate and they represent the UK government in various forums, being invited by external organizations. And the ongoing Bengal Global Business Summit is one such example, which was a very good respite from the last 2 years of online events we have held all through over Zoom and Teams and Google Meet. But this was one big physical conference over the course of yesterday and today, hosted by the government of West Bengal, where the UK was one of the core partner countries where our diplomats got to speak and represent the UK. So the third one, as I mentioned, is representational events. The fourth one would be UK's own flagship programs or public diplomacy programs. One of them I would like to briefly mention is the Queen's Birthday Party, which we celebrate every year in Kolkata. In fact, it's the official birthday of Her Majesty the Queen today. And we are countdowning to the Platinum Jubilee of Her Majesty's 70 years of service to the UK and the Commonwealth nations. And we are all gearing up for the celebration. And as part of that, we also marked the Commonwealth Day last month in collaboration with the Department of Sports, Government of Odisha in Bhubaneswar and Puri. So these are the ways of how we do our communication or campaigns. But the house also need the tools of communication. There's most important tools of communication. Our most significant tools of communication is Govt.uk, which is the official website of our UK government, where the British citizens or British nationals in the UK and abroad, they find the information most up-to-date information on all the government schemes and policies, the travel advice, everything is linked up there on gov.uk. So that's one of the various most significant tools of communicating with our audience, whether they are in UK or abroad. The other tool is press releases. You know, the PR and corporate communication officials, one of the most important tools in their pocket is press releases, and it helps in creating a positive perception about your brand. And here, your relation with the press and media matters a lot. Your friendly relation will take you to great strides, you know, by working with a host of journalists who come from a different background, from the print, television, online, radio. So your press releases matters a lot, and a very important tool for PR and corporate communication professionals. And I would also like to mention the most important and yet trending, upcoming tool is, which is videos, multimedia. Not just as a communication here in the Foreign Office here in Kolkata, but news organizations themselves are now branching out to multimedia content, and print media, be it traditional print media houses like the Telegraph or the Hindu or several others. You know, they have realized that producing multimedia content is a very important aspect of their existence, and connection with the young audience who are always on their mobile, on their smartphone, and 90% of our smartphone generation consume news on their mobile. So they have to be active on those platforms in order to reach their audience. So no longer would a millennial would want to read a newspaper 400 or 600 worded article. They would like to know the news in a jiffy, and there's where the short video bites or video infographics come into play. And these media houses and all the other corporate brands even have slowly they are seriously taking video content, multimedia content, and video infographics, and they are using it as a very, very important tool across all their social media channels, right from YouTube to LinkedIn to Twitter to Facebook, wherever these platforms are available in those respective countries. So, these important tools are one of the most significant tools for a corporate communication and PR professionals. And you have to depend on these tools to create magic and create positive impact and the value for the work that you do for your organization. So that's where I'll end here in terms of my thoughts on public relations and corporate communications. And one of the earlier speaker, I think Dr. Aditya Shukla, and also Professor Padma touched upon briefly about the role of social media influencer, which is becoming a very, very important topic. The time when we passed out from colleges and universities about 13, 15 years ago, we barely knew what Google is. Gmail just came in, we shifted from Rediffmail to Gmail, and slowly the social media giants, started entering our lives, and now they are everywhere. My 10-year-old son is more social media adept than myself. And the last 2 years of the pandemic have shown us that they can adapt and embrace technology faster than us. So they are the new generation. And if the media industry or the academics have to be serious and remain sustainable for the future generation, as Professor Shukla, Dr. Shukla has said, that there needs to be sustained effort. They have to be, if they need to be sustainable in the long run. So they have to think about these future generation, this current generation who would want to take up media studies 5 years or 6 years down the lines once they pass out from high school and want to take up media studies. Maybe it's time to embrace new subjects as interdisciplinary approach, like maybe media in influencer marketing, media in OTT, OTT production, the media management in OTT, and there's no end to it, and cyber laws is one of the most exciting aspects of it, as we all know the challenges of working within the profession. So yeah, I mean, there are a lot of challenges, as Professor Bas has said, but of course, there are a lot of exciting opportunities also. The time when we used to study in college and university 15 years back, those times have changed, and now there are new trends like influencer marketing. Social media influencers have gained huge traction due to their multimedia content on Facebook and YouTube, and thanks to the YouTube creator economy, which has contributed to 6,800 crores in 2020, as per a report by Oxford Economics. So there you go. They are continuing to embrace technology to share a story with the help of video, and brands are continuing to do so, share their story, creating perceptions, changing perceptions, communicating their stories with their audience through the help of traditional as well as multimedia tools and new and emerging tools like podcasts as well as video podcasts, which will be a very important and significant trend in the coming year. So yeah, that's all which I would like to say. And once again, thank you, Ms. Momita Dedas, for inviting me on this important session. And it was really enlightening to hear all the previous speakers. And I've made some notes from their talks, and which I'll take away with this session. And yeah, that's all. And thank you once again for having me here.
Thank you so much. So the major takeaways from your speech goes as why we communicate, and obviously the two very basic things. One is to create perceptions, and two for the changing perceptions. And the important tools that you stated in this recent time, especially with the pandemic, we have all learned in books of media studies that kiss and tell, that is, keep it short and simple and tell your story. So that is what you stressed upon. And you have stressed also with the shorter content, video content, how print media houses have realized it during the pandemic, and they have changed the perspective and approach to their marketing, how to reach out to the larger audience, especially the younger generation, with some of the future subjects like on OTT, influential marketing, cyber laws, and video and podcasting. These are some of the future, and you can say the present generations that we need to stress upon. Now we call upon our session chair, Dr. Aditya Kumar Shukla, to say a few words and conclude the session. Over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. So we have started with a note that why interdisciplinarity is being encouraged in the universities. And as Professor Padma has said, that we have to leave the traditional ways of thinking first. If we not leave that, we can't achieve that goal. And we have to adopt the common pathways for problem solving in day-to-day life. And we must apply the critical and creative thinking in all domains of life. Okay, it must come, it will come only when we adopt the interdisciplinary nature in our studies. And as we know that media landscape is changing very largely, so we must realize the necessity of interdisciplinary in the media studies, and the young students should be given a chance to take more and more subjects, like the new framework which NEPC has mentioned many times in her talk, that NEP is going to change a few things in that. The new framework of the course is saying that almost 38 or to 40 credits will be from the different disciplines. So every student is going to learn the science and other different subjects which the NEP is saying. So I think NEP is creating a guideline for us so that we can adopt the interdisciplinary nature of the studies in the all domains, not only in media studies. And as far as the Professor Abbas has stated that social media can be made an independent discipline, because nowadays in everywhere we are learning social media as a subject, only 2 credit or 4 credit subject. So it can be made an independent discipline, because nowadays the importance of social media is rising day by day. And I think he has also raised that that the media literacy must be taught in every domain, because the things which are creating discomfort or disinformation in the media domain and social media domain, it can be tackled only by the media literacy. So media literacy as a subject can be taught in every subject, so it can resolve the problem. And he has also raised that we have to create a common framework for interdisciplinary approach in media studies. So I think GMAC is going to create something for that, maybe some white paper on that. And as Professor Sam Gupta has said, that this is very important, that why do we communicate? Everyone must learn it. He communicate to create perceptions, good perceptions, or to remove the bad perceptions for the UK government. But everyone must realize that why do we communicate? This is the most important thing we all should learn. And he also emphasized on a few discipline domain specific courses like law and media law and ethics. We teach in 2 credit course or 4 credit course, but law and media can be created a full degree course, because a lot of things are changing very rapidly in the field of law too. Like OTT law has changed recently, and social media laws are changing very rapidly. And you can see during this the war, the Ukraine and Russia war, lot of things were happened, and a lot of restrictions were imposed on the Russian handles and other handles. Why these all things are happening? Who is governing all these things? These are the pertinent questions which can be taught in the class, which must be taught in the class. So I would like to conclude my thoughts by amalgamating by combining all the things together. So as a media educator, we can plan some summer courses, and we can plan some summer courses to train the faculties across disciplines, so that every discipline can have a knowledge of media studies, and we can have the knowledge of other disciplines too. So we can plan such courses like AI and media is emerging very rapidly. So can we plan a course in AI and media as a summer course? And communication departments especially, because we have to create ourselves impactful first. If we propose something to someone, they are not going to listen us. So we have to take the charge. As a communication department, we can try to bring together a different mix of people from the other background, like science, computer science, engineering, artists, designers, communication scholars. So we can start hiring. If we are starting some courses in AI and media, so we can start hiring the people from the different backgrounds to teach those subjects. If we start that thing, then those people will come to us surely. So with this thought, I am binding up this session. Thank you very much, Mamita ma'am, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you all, and congratulations, Professor Padma ma'am, for the award. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Over to Professor Ambarish Saxena. Sir, please say a few words, and then I'll go to vote of thanks.
I think it's better to be a listener, because I've been listening to everybody. And obviously, this is one area wherein I have also my take, but today it was better to listen to diverse viewpoints with regard to various facets of media education, and there can be various ways to reach to the same goal. So whichever way we adopted, whether it's completely the hands-on training, or it's learning based, or it's knowledge based, or it's a sharing based. I mean, or there are so many ways. So I also keep on making a lot of experiments. Some succeed, some do not. But then this is good that these kind of exchanges happen, and that's the benefit of having such kind of deliberations, wherein we listen to each other's viewpoint, and then we can further give a thought to that as what more can be done to add value to existing media education. Thank you all.
So thank you, sir. We come to a vote of thanks. Thank you to all for your presence in this evening. I hereby give my vote of thanks to the organizers and the guests of this evening to spare their valuable time for us and enlighten us on the theme. I'll end by a beautiful quote. What feels like the end is often the beginning. With these hopeful words, we hope media education will reach its new zenith and explore novel arena. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good night. Good night to all of you.